Hey everyone. So I must have spent probably about an hour or so earlier this afternoon trying to record a review video for Avengers Infinity War and just kept stumbling over myself and losing my train of thought and forgetting where I was going, like almost happened there, and just getting mixed up a lot of the time. I think mainly because this it's such a big film. It's such a there's so much in it to sort of wrap your head around. I think in order to do a proper review video for it, I'd have to see it again, and I don't know as I'm going to get the chance to do that for a while. So what I'm going to do instead of an actual review video, sort of where I'm talking about, the plot and the characters and the characterizations and all that kind of stuff. I'm just going to talk about how I felt about the film. I'm just going to talk about it from a more personal sort of angle, I guess, really. And I guess all reviews are personal, but this is going to be less about the sort of more technical sides of the film, I guess, and more about just what I took from it and how I felt about the film. And I think what I'm going to do after that as well, because this is something that's been on my mind a lot since I saw it, is I'm going to talk about some theories that I've got about where the next film, the film next year, is going to go. So there are going to be spoilers in this. So if you don't want to have the film spoiled for you, if you haven't had a chance to see it yet, then don't watch. Basically, just click away and go and watch something else. So here it is, my thoughts and feelings on the film. I was afraid going into this film for two reasons. The first reason was I was afraid that after all the build up over the last 10 years, and all the kind of hype that surrounded this film coming out, probably for the last year or so mainly, I was afraid that the film would sort of crumble under its own weight and not live up to the expectations that have been set for it, because it happens. It's happened a lot in the past with a lot of different films. So I was afraid going into it for that reason, and I was also afraid going into it for a different reason, which is that I felt that somebody in the film was going to die, and I thought it was going to be either Cap, Iron Man, or Thor. I thought one of those three is going to die. That's going to be the punch of the film, the gut punch of the film. In respect to the first concern that I had, it blew away my expectations. It was better than I thought it would be, to be perfectly honest. And I thought it was going to be awesome. And it lived up, for me anyway, it lived up to the hype that the film has set for itself and that Marvel set for it, and then some, really. There wasn't an aspect of the film that I felt disappointed with, really. And I thought that, considering what was in it, which is basically every major Marvel character for the last 10 years or so, well, nearly every major Marvel character for the last 10 years or so. I'll come back round to that in a second. But all those characters, all of them, all the original Avengers, Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, Hulk, Black Widow, all the new guys that we've seen over the last few years. So the Guardians of the Galaxy, that's 5 other big characters right there. Doctor Strange, Spider-Man, just all of them in one film, and it didn't feel crowded. It didn't feel overcrowded, and I think the reason why it didn't feel overcrowded is because the Russo brothers, they did a very, very clever thing and a very wise thing, which is they didn't have them all together throughout the course of the film. They had one group split away split away and did their thing, and then they had another group split away and did something else, and then there was Thor and Rocket and Groot went off to no, I forgot the name of the place, but went off to do their thing, and then Iron Man and the Guardians, well, some of the Guardians, not those two because they were off there, the other Guardians, and Spider-Man went off to Titan to face Thanos directly, and then Cap and um, uh, Black Panther and Bucky and all those guys, Vision, Hulk. Although you don't really see Hulk in the film, but Bruce anyway. They were on Earth defending like the last Infinity Stone really that he needed, and Gamora was off serving her own storyline as well. So they split them all up basically. They were all off doing different things, and I think because they did that, that meant that it didn't feel overcrowded. It did mean that the characters didn't get as much screen time as they have done in the past, but then they're not going to because there's a lot of people in it. So from that perspective, I was really, really happy, and I was really, really relieved that that the film did not disappoint and that it didn't let itself down by trying to take on too much. They did it right. They did it well. They did it better than I imagined that they would, to be honest. So, kudos to Marvel. I will say this: it still hasn't topped my favourite Marvel film to date, which is still Avengers Assemble. It's even though it is, I suppose, if you look at it from a technical from like a critical, sorry, not technical, a critical standpoint, it is a better film. But I just love Avengers Assemble. It's still my favourite one to this day. So I love it. So yeah, they're kind of my thoughts on the film. So some theories about where it's going to go next. So this is probably mainly where the spoilers are going to come in. There was a little bit back then when I was talking about the characters splitting away, but that's not a major thing. This is where the major spoilers are going to come in. So in the first few minutes of the film, you see Heimdall and Loki die. Heimdall gets stabbed through the chest, and Thanos basically picks him up and crushes his throat. My theory is, I don't necessarily think it'll be in the next film, but I think it might be further down the line. My theory is, I don't think that Loki's going to be dead. I think he might come back. I know there's a couple of lines, Thor's got one and Thanos has got one, suggesting that it is, or basically outright saying that it is completely final. But this is Loki that we're talking about. He's the god of mischief. He's fooled people into thinking that he'd died before. So my gut and my instinct is saying that because he is such a fan favourite character, and people love Loki, he's like the best. Up until Thanos, he's been the best Marvel villain that we've had, I think. And because people love him so much, I think he will come back. And especially given the fact that he had such a great arc as well, going from being the villain to being kind of the reluctant hero, or reluctant good guy, shall we say, in Thor the Dark World, because he does help out Thor in that, to being a good guy in Thor Ragnarok, because he does some good in there. I don't know. I just think, I mean, in one sense, it is kind of an end to his arc, I guess. But I just think it'd be a shame not to see him at least one more time, at least in one more film. I don't know. Maybe that's a loose one. Maybe that's a loose theory, an unlikely one. But I think he might come back. So another theory that I've got as well is about Valkyrie, because you don't actually see Valkyrie in this film, and you don't see Korg and Meek either from Thor Ragnarok. So my theory about their absence is that when Thanos started attacking the Asgardian ship after the end of Ragnarok, Thor and Heimdall and Loki were basically ordered her to get away with as many people as she could, so that as many people could possibly survive. Maybe Thor and those guys stayed behind with the more of the fighters, so that they could try and fight Thanos off and his his goons and try and defeat him. Obviously, they failed, but I think that Valkyrie and Korg Meek have escaped on some smaller ship or escape capsules or whatever, and have gotten away somewhere, because I don't think that Marvel are going to kill off all of the Asgardians. I don't think they're going to leave it with it being just Thor, because I don't know if Chris Hemsworth is going to stay as Thor for a time. I don't know if they're going to end up killing off the character of Thor at some point in the future, or if they're going to like do something and Thor becomes a woman or whatever. But I don't think that they're going to leave the character of Thor as being the only living Asgardian. I don't think they can do that. Or if they do, it'd be a bit more mean. It'd be a bit mean if they did. So I imagine that they've escaped, and maybe they'll even come back in the next installment. Maybe there'll be a scene where there's another big battle and they're fighting more of Thanos' forces or whatever, and just like at a dire moment, one of them gets shot in the side of the face, and Korg steps up and does his "What's up, bro?" thing. That's a bad impression, but I like to see that anyway. Maybe that's more of a I'd like to see it and less of a theory. But I think that's going to be where they go. Anyway, what else was there? There was other theories that I thought about. Some of them probably just disregarded because they were a bit silly. But another theory I've got. Okay, so at the end of the film, in a bit of a shock ending, and this is the biggest spoiler that I'm going to talk about, Thanos gets all of the Infinity Stones in the gauntlet. Thor tries one last attempt to try and take him out, and it doesn't quite work, and he snaps his fingers, and that's it. Half the universe dies. And the characters, Spider-Man dissolves into nothingness. Star-Lord, same. Drax, the same. Groot, the same. Bucky, the same. Scarlet, the same. Vision is dead anyway because he's had the stone ripped out of his forehead. Black Panther dissolves into nothing. Doctor Strange, did I say him? I don't know. Anyway, all of those guys just disappear into nothing. It basically leaves our original cast of Avengers: Black Widow, Iron Man, Thor, Hulk, Bruce Banner, presumably Hawkeye, although you don't actually see him in this film. It leaves those original characters. Cap, all of those guys are the only ones that are left. Even Maria Hill and Nick Fury, even they disappear in a post-credit scene. Even they're gone. Who knows? Maybe even the guys from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. are gone as well. I haven't got to that part in the show yet. But they've all disappeared. So my thought is, and I don't know how they're going to play it, maybe it's going to be about getting the time stone. Maybe all the people that have disappeared have gone into one of the stones. Sorry, I'm not flipping you off there. Have gone into one of the stones and they have to break it, and that's how everyone... I don't know how they're going to do it, but those characters that are left are going to, I think, in the next film, do something that brings all those guys that have died back somehow. Because they've got to, because they've got other films coming up. There's Guardians of the Galaxy 3 that James Gunn is writing. Spider-Man 2 has been confirmed. Black Panther 2 has been confirmed. Doctor Strange 2 has been confirmed. So these guys are going to be coming back. But I think that it will be at the cost of probably more than one of the original Avengers' lives. I still think that we're going to see Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, Hulk, possibly, maybe Black Widow, although I think she's got a solo film coming up. It could be a prequel, we don't know. Certainly, one of those four characters, or possibly all of them, I think are going to die in the next one. And they're going to do it to save the people that we lost in this film. So that's my biggest theory about it. And it probably kind of goes without saying that they're going to come back, but I do think it's going to be at the cost of those people's lives. And if that happens, I tell you what, people, when we saw this film, the cinema that my girlfriend and I were in when we watched this film was more or less dead silent when this film finished, because nobody knew what to say. Usually there's chitter chatter, there's people talking about, oh, shall we go to wherever next? Shall we go to pub or whatever? There's normally people doing that. In this film, it was just dead silent all the way throughout the credits, throughout the end credit scene, throughout people walking out. Just silent. Me and Tash, my girlfriend, we were like, I'm telling you, I'm sure at the end of the next one, people are going to be in tears. Because I can't see it going any other way. Another minor theory as well that I've got is that I'm half tempted to think that at the end of, or at some point in Ant-Man and the Wasp, maybe at the end, I don't know, one of those two, I think it might be set alongside Infinity War. I don't know, but I think it might be set alongside Infinity War, and I think that at the end of the film, one of them, possibly Scott Lang, is going to disappear, and then Evangeline Lilly's character, Evangeline Lilly's character is going to be like, crap, shit, like brokenhearted and everything, and that's what's going to spur her on to coming into the next Infinity War as Wasp, and that's what's going to bring her into it. And Hawkeye, I mean, the guy's cool. He's probably just going to shoot an arrow at an opportune moment and then walk in all like, hey, what did you do without me, you know? So anyway, there's my thoughts and my thoughts about Infinity War, which is that it's awesome, and there's going to be a poster going up there as soon as I can find a decent one, and some theories about the next one. So if you have seen it yourself, I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, or even more. Who knows? Let me know what you think in the comments below if you want. If you haven't seen it yet, I hope you haven't watched this video if you don't want it spoiling. But if you haven't, and you don't mind it spoiling, still go and see it, because you need to experience it. You need to experience it. It's brilliant. Okay? Right. And I've got another video coming up as well. I'm going to make another video, hopefully sometime this week. I am going to do it. I promise. I swear. I know it's been 5 months and I'm really, really bad. But I'm going to make another video this week, and it's going to be about Sea of Thieves, because I've been playing that quite a lot recently as well. And it's probably also partially to blame why I haven't made a video over the last few weeks. Okay, so I'll see you next time. All right.